Congo, the eastern part of it, Congo, Brazzaville, Central African Republic. We are already at 9 p.m. at night. But in Boston, I think it's just coming to 4 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock, 10 minutes past 3 o'clock, if I'm right, in Boston. Well, welcome to Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, on your laptops, on your gadgets, on your tablets, on your phones. This is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. Tonight, we are talking about the big issue of investing back home or sticking to the diaspora and investing there. And tonight, we're a good place to start from because we first of all get our first colored, talk about Asian or Indian origin Prime Minister taking over in the United Kingdom. It's been, of course, a lot of fun. And Fuzzy, we can just have a look at what the day has looked like today as I talk over that, just in terms of the developments this day. Woke up to a Prime Minister who had actually stood and lost in the first round. And then the lady who took over 45 days only in, and she was already on her way out. He's come in and he's maintained some of the ministers in positions. He's made a few changes. It looks more like a Boris Johnson government like it was, but everybody now is expecting that things will start changing. Isma, if you can have that clip playing, please, so that we just update people on what happened on the event of the day. So today started with the Prime Minister, with the outgoing Prime Minister, or the former Prime Minister, Liz Truss, went to meet with the King, handed in her resignation, came to number 10 Downing Street as the last event. And from Isma, for some reason, the clip is not playing. I will be talking over the clip if you don't mind, so that we just save on our time. So started the day with Liz Truss, the former Prime Minister, going to meet with the King, spent about 20 minutes, and then came to Downing Street, of course, now to sort of say her goodbyes after only 47 days in office. Brings Rishi Sunak, the first, man of color. He's of Asian origin. His parents actually from Kenya and Tanzania. So for the East Africans, I think, well, there's a bit of celebration. On the screen now, you can see Liz Truss earlier in the morning, sort of saying her goodbyes, and then bits and pieces of Rishi Sunak sort of building up to become the Prime Minister after he served as Chancellor under Boris Johnson. The clip is playing, but no sound. Yes, we decided to keep the sound slightly low so that we can talk over it. But yes, Isma, please, if you can raise a little bit of the sound so we can have it playing in the background. It sounds like it's not on. So the events of the day now ended up with Rishi Sunak after Liz Truss handed her resignation to the country, of course, going to the King and saying her goodbyes and then leaving. Apparently, she might have gone to the Bahamas now, where she might be in a situation where she's going on a bit of holiday to cool down a little bit, but she's going to come back and stay as a member of parliament. These things don't happen in Africa. And it's for the first time in history that you'll have 3 former prime ministers all sitting in the chamber with another prime minister, all from the same party. Brenda there is saying he was a big Brexit supporter, so this is going to be interesting. Well, now, especially that now we are there and all, the trouble is with the decision that we made getting into Brexit and how we got ourselves out and what we are surviving on. Of course, Boris Johnson was the first one to resign, then came in, Theresa May, then Boris Johnson comes in, wins the biggest win, provides the biggest win for the Conservatives. And then, pressure comes on him, including Rishi Sunak as Chancellor, resigning from the cabinet, and his resignation actually partly and partially triggered the situation that we are in. A leadership crisis within the Conservatives ended up with a leadership bid in which the final 2 were Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. Of course, Rishi Sunak lost to Liz Truss, and some people were interpreting this as sort of, was there a racist aspect to this? Was there, because he was seen to have a little bit more experience and the kind of suggestions that he was bringing. And the markets actually responded to Liz Truss, and it has been a very painful 45 days last. But of course, she's managed to also achieve quite something. She managed to oversee, the funeral of Queen Elizabeth, and then, of course, the enthronement of the new King Charles III. Of course, now she's taking over. He is taking over now from Liz Truss, who has served a very short period of time. A quick look through some of the people that he's already appointed. Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary Dominic Raab makes a comeback. He was Deputy Prime Minister, remember, under Boris Johnson. Chancellor of the Exchequer, it looks like he didn't want to shake the tables very quickly. Jeremy Hunt, who used to be Health Secretary and then Foreign Secretary, and even stood for leadership within the Conservatives. He was appointed as Chancellor after the sacking of Kwesi Kwarteng, the first Black Chancellor of the United Kingdom. When he took over, now the Prime Minister has decided to keep him in place so that they can start moving things. Foreign Secretary James Cleverly stayed there. Home Secretary, a lady who resigned last week for breaking all the rules, cabinet rules or government rules, is back in the same position, and that has raised actually some few questions within government. So Home Secretary Suella Braverman has come back, managed to make a comeback in that situation. Defense Secretary Ben Wallace, that has stayed. He's stayed as well. I think because of the situation in Ukraine, he's been managing that and probably didn't want a disruption of that process. The Chief Whip, Simon Hart, and then Minister without portfolio, and as the Conservative Party Chair, Nadim Zahawi, who had also gone into the race for leadership initially and then dropped out. Person who was in Home Office now has moved to Business Secretary's Grant Shapps. I think, a lot of experience down there. So I just thought I should just bring you up to date, just in case you joined us in the conversation, and telling you about the situation that is in Britain. Is the first time, and one of the first things that the new Prime Minister has done, of course, it happens during the Diwali season, and he's gone and lit the candles at number 10 Downing Street. That is the first of its sorts. So I think interesting times ahead just means maybe for people of color, it just means we might have opportunities abound for us. If you could make it, chances are probably if one works hard, why not get it? But of course, tonight's conversation is about investing either home or investing in the diaspora. This has been a question even for the new Prime Minister, because you will have, if you have been following the politics in the country, notice that he was in some trouble over a few months ago when his wife was seen to have a non-dom. And for those who are not in UK, a non-dom status means if I'm from Uganda and I have dual citizenship, I have British citizenship and I have Ugandan citizenship, I can decide that for tax purposes, my taxes I pay in Uganda, not here, because I know here they can follow, and then in Uganda I can get away with it after just kitu kidogo. So the wife, who comes from a very rich family as well, was not paying her taxes in the UK, and that became almost an issue. So the issue of where to invest probably might be an issue that falls very well into tonight's conversation. But our topic is, should we invest back home, or should we invest here? I'm sure many people are having that sort of idea, struggling in their minds. Some of us have already gone into the deep and dipped our heads into the investment portfolio. Others are probably still considering. For those still considering, tonight's conversation might actually help you a lot. But even for those who are already there, probably it can get you thinking. Ismail, if we can have our clip from Akon, probably just leading us into our tonight's conversation. If you've just joined us, the program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim, Kayira, and we are live on 75W Radio, live on Uma Connect, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom where we are. Let's just hear this little word about investing back home, maybe making the case for that. Isma, is it just me or there's no sound in it? I can't hear anything. Good people, can you hear anything? I can't hear anything from my end.
Surely after someone has wondered.
Not sure why the sound, there is a kind of, maybe if we can just have it corrected. And as the clip comes in, just to let you know, because that was Akon, who we shall be looking at, trying to make investments. And interestingly, he came to Uganda, you shall remember that, and he was granted a square mile of land where he's supposed to bring in an Acorn City. And it might be one of those big projects, well, in our lifetime, probably, if we get to see it, might be just one of those that are actually talking about investing back home, but he's putting it into practice. And we are trying to sort out the sound on that. We should be able just to hear his decision when he decided to start investing back home. And then, of course, we'll start comparing. But statistics have shown that investing in Africa, in Uganda, anywhere across Africa, you're almost twice, 3 times likely to actually get, get twice or 3 times your money as a return. But of course, there are lots of things involved in that. If the clip is ready, Isma, just go ahead and play it, please. We'll just be watching. And then we'll open up the microphones for our viewers to start having a conversation.
Hey, what's going on? This is Akon, and this is a word. Why African Americans should invest in Africa. Well, my investments in Africa, I can say probably started around 2004. Shortly after my Locked Up album, I said to myself, okay, I don't want to be that artist who is a one-hit wonder. So the little money I make right now, let me start buying some real estate. Honestly, I thought Africa was the best place for future investment, mainly because it was still underdeveloped. I kind of racked up, thousands of acres of land just by the water, seafront property. I always felt like, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. Senegal was one of the first choices to invest in because I was home, I had family there. The most popular one I would say is the Akon Lighting Africa, which is my energy company. We're actually in about 16, 17 countries right now in all of West Africa. We put up about 250,000 solar street lamps all throughout Africa, but now we've expanded totally. The business started with solar street lamps. Now we're actually doing solar grids. I'm building a crypto city starting in Senegal. And that one is called Akon, Solar Attainment City, which is the first crypto city throughout the continent, basically. Right now, we got about 54 countries. Every single country in Africa has its own dollar or has its own currency. But the problem is none of the currencies are stable. They go up, they go down. So cryptocurrency for me, I felt would be the solution for Africa. The way I see the future is that I want Acorn to be the trading mechanism for Africa. In other words, Acorn will be the dollar that you spend when you come to Africa. And what we did, we built a platform that allows all the young generation, entrepreneurs, everyone that has anything of value to be able to utilize that value, tokenize it into Acorns to be able to trade it off. The music entertainment side of things, started in Nigeria in 2008, starting with the likes of silent artists like Wizkid, P-Square, Davido, which is the Iconic label group. This is actually 4 different labels, 4 different genres, and it's a global imprint. Africa's always been the richest continent in the universe when it came to natural resources. So there's no reason why Africa should be in a position of this. I remember telling everyone that, we have a lot of resources. As you know, all the prime resources that's developed every major country are resources coming from Africa. So when I say resources, I mean natural resources. I'm talking about human capital, history, knowledge, marketing. In African Americans' minds, when you mention Africa, it's like this huge ball of fear just comes up when you say the word Africa, because they've been so brainwashed to believe that Africa is a certain specific type of way. And I think the fear of not knowing is what halts them from not going. When you look at Africa from every angle, could clearly be that. We have the capability, we have the strength, we have the manpower, and collectively we actually have the funding. That is more than possible. And it's all from just basic hustle, because all Africans are born entrepreneurs. Like, if you go to Harlem right now, you're gonna probably see 80 fruit stands, and they're all African. You know what I'm saying? When you combine African Americans and diaspora Africans, that unity itself is what's gonna make Wakanda actually possible. I don't think Wakanda can be built by Africans alone. And I think that the diaspora have to be involved, because the diaspora comes with a different set of knowledge. I think the wealth is naturally spreaded when jobs are created. It's going to be nothing but job opportunity. And that's from every industry, from education, health, infrastructure, energy, agriculture, you name it. This is our chance to start fresh. I just don't see why we wouldn't take advantage of that.
Well, fantastic there from Akon. And I think this is going to be very, very interesting. Guiding our
Have you ever seen a
conversation.
wealthy person or a wealthy family or
Oh, sorry, yeah, just have that ready. We are coming to it shortly. I was just going to say that this is really going to guide our conversation tonight, because a lot of people who have gone into Africa to carry out investments built on our insecurities, our lack of trust, our inexperience working together in groups. Many people have gone in, and you find that you end up in a venture, in a business venture, which requires a lot of money, and then you strain yourself so much trying to push in a lot of money, and then you do not have adequate money. So you do it half-heartedly. As a result, you burn your fingers simply because you've not had enough money to push in at the right time. Even in agricultural projects, you'll find that you've managed to get your 50 acres, alhamdulillah. You buy them, individually, and you can pay for that. But then you find that for you to clear that land, to grow, and plant your maize or whatever in that specific land, over that period of time within the same season becomes very difficult for you to clear the land, the 50 acres. If you're going to use manual labor, that takes forever. You cannot clear 50 acres, even if you wished, just using hands or in one season. If it is by tractor, then the tractor is going to be very expensive. I'll give you some very small mathematics. An acre of bush clearing, an acre, they normally do it in hectares. So if they are going to clear a hectare, they're asking between 1.7 million Uganda shillings. So for those not from Uganda, I'll try just to make it easier for you to maybe understand, and we can translate or we can transfer the currencies. But in Uganda, at the moment, bush clearance using a tractor, they are charging 1.7 to 1.9 million. Actually, 1.7 to 2 million now, given the fuel prices that had risen. You are going to need, with the 50 acres, a hectare is 2.5 acres. So do that 2.5 and put in 50 acres and see how much money you're going to need just to clear that land. And that is just clearing. Bring in tractor round one. Minimum now at the moment is 150 to 200 for the tractor owners. 150 to 200,000 clearing just like an acre. And you need to do a first harrow and then go into a second harrow as you prepare to start planting. And then you'll need a planter. If you look at all these costs, over that space that you would need for you to make an impact, you need your 10 acres, you need your 30 acres, 50 acres. Try and get all that money and then see if you can actually raise that money as an individual. So Akon is talking about the fact that we can build the Wakandas, but you cannot build the Wakandas alone. Probably it's time to start thinking, and probably that might come in as part of the conversation. But I think it comes from a wrong premise that we've had experiences where our fingers have been burnt, you've dealt with people, they've stolen your money, and now the trust dies. And that becomes an issue that probably, why do I sound like I'm the only one talking? We are going to open up the mics, the conversation, so that we can start talking about what could be done. There are people a lot with a lot of land, with a lot of land, but unable to use it. And Brenda, thank you very much. I'm seeing your points, and I'll start getting to read some of these points. I was just giving a sort of a simple, Brenda says a tractor to level your compound of, let's say, 100 by 100, you will part with not less than 2 million. And that happens a lot. But I was talking in the bigger sense because I'm there, I'm in that market, and therefore I speak, from experience, that if you know where to do that. And part of the conversations are, if you are in groups, if you join groups and start understanding, carry out the research before. There is, for example, an app in Uganda now called AgriShare. If you didn't know about it and you're in farming, please do. AgriShare is an app that has been developed. You go there and you're just looking for, say, I need a tractor and I'm in this particular area. So the moment you enter your area, you show the tractor need, you start seeing how many tractors are in the area. The more tractors are in the area, the cheaper it becomes for you to be able to clear or get farming. I'm just using that as an example, but the wider perception, there are people who have gone into rentals, quick fix, do it, and then you start handling on how to get the tenants to pay. There are people who have gone into buying lands, they just buy the lands, put them there 6 months, flip them and put them back onto the market. They are making quick money. That is the good side of it. But then you have to navigate a lot of things. There is corruption at all levels, from the local councillors, the people who are going to come and sign on the very documents that you're going to work with, go to, go to the authorities at the land district where two land titles can exist very comfortably. You paid for a rightful title and then another title comes up. You have to navigate through all of these. The instability in the markets. One time, everybody hears what we're chifunakatis, ginger in Tangawuz, everybody rushes into Tangawuz. Market oversaturated, market too small to supply. The forces of demand and supply come into play. A bag that was costing 800,000 ends up at 300,000. That is 500,000 that you have burnt your fingers with, and you've invested in quite hugely. So there are all these uncertainties in these markets, and these are conversations I'd like to hear. People who have done it, people who have gone through the experience and lived through it. Oh, maybe you've decided you just want to invest back here. You go into your shares, you go into your bonds, and you're perfectly fine with it. Isma, let's listen to that second clip, and then we'll open up the microphones for the audience now to start having a chat. And for those who are keeping the chat room busy, fantastic. Please, let's have the conversation there. Let's have our hands up and let's talk about this. Probably we should find a solution. We can make up our minds. Everyone, it might be a debate that you cannot win whether one way wins, whether it's investing home or investing in the diaspora, depending on whatever reasons everyone has. Isma, if the clip is ready, please, would be happy to just listen to that. This person who has invested in both places, bringing in the experience, and then on the basis of the experience, we shall open our conversation and hear from each other, from one another, about what the experience has been. Isma, is the clip ready, please? Right, so while we wait for the clip to get, I think it is ready. Yes, so this man, just before I say it, I was hoping to have him on the show. He got to me very late, about 4 minutes into the program, Mr. Alpha, it's Alpha, and I couldn't get him on the program in time. But this is a conversation he was having around the fact that he invested in both areas and he shares his experience. That might open up our mics now for the conversation. Isma, please go ahead and let's listen to that.
You will have, and I'm telling you, quoting that by experience and by talking with all investors.
I think let's just first clear let's first clean that up if we can, please, so that then we have it rightly at 3:22. If you've just joined us, this is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim, Kayira, and tonight we are talking about whether to invest back home or invest in the diaspora where we are at. There are people who have lived very difficult lives. You deny yourself everything. You sleep in a very crowded place, in a very cramped place. Is it there? 3:22. Yep, I said you can have it. Yeah, ready when you are.
3 keys of the profile. The first thing is the return on investment is so great. You will have, and I'm telling you, I'm quoting you that, and this is by experience and by talking with other investors, you will have great returns when you invest in Africa. I invested in land, for example. I invested in real estate. I invested in some businesses, and the return is higher than what I see here in the investment that I made here, right? A lot higher. The second thing about Africa, though, is the risk is higher. I'm sure you already know that, but the risk is higher. And why is it higher, leader? It's because the people there's no real protection in many countries, and there's no real structured market. So there's a lot to do, right? That's also why the return on investment is so high. There's a lot to do. And so the market are still like blue, right? And there's still a lot to do. So you will get into a market, you will have a lot of uncertainty. You don't know how the market will respond. You don't have enough data. You don't know the consumer reaction to this product or your service. You also have the fact that sometimes the legal system is not strong enough, so people just are not afraid to scam you or are not afraid to steal. And you really don't have any means to get your money back or any means to just make sure that they abide by the contract that you have with them. I had it with one of my businesses where the person didn't really do what was supposed to be done. And there was a contract, but yet, what could I do? I had two options. Either I just start, legal action and I will never end that action and I will lose even more and more money, right? That's Africa. So the risk has to go down. And the third profile investment is there's a lot of impact to be made in Africa with your capital. There's a lot of impact with little capital. So imagine some countries, if you go in Burundi or even Cameroon, in some part of that country, $10 a month is a lot, is enough for them to create a little shop, like a little shop, like let's say in the outskirts of a big city, a little shop, and to start a business there. We don't think about it, right? Here you spend $10, you spend 10 euros like this, you waste your money, but every dime of your money is so powerful and important. If you are able to invest that in Africa, you have a lot more impact. So whatever you do in Africa, you have a lot more impact. You create jobs, right? With even as little as $10, you can create a job or 2 jobs in some parts of Africa. And that's why it's so powerful to invest in Africa. The second provider, when you invest here, probably you know already that, but it's good to have it in mind, right? The first thing is the return on investment is lower. You have that 7%, 5% when you do investment in property, right? And you have a bit higher when you do stocks. And if you go in cryptos and you learn how to do it well and you do it long term, that's my best strategy, you will have even more return, but still, it's because you have a lot more risk in crypto. So the first thing is investment is, low return compared to Africa. The second thing is it's safer. If you go into crypto, which is a lot riskier, then you have more return. But most of the investments here are already proven. People are already in there, right? Real estate property, right? For example, you will have very, very low return and it's going to be safe. But the third thing is, as an African, you don't impact much. I'm sorry to tell you that. Maybe you think because you are, I don't know, a director, or you are making 6-figure or even 7-figure, you feel like you're impacting people. No, you don't impact anyone if you invest traditional businesses here, or if you invest like anyone here, you don't impact Africa, you don't impact Africans most of the time. And that's what you have to consider in the balance, right? That's what I considered when I started working. And when I started working, I just wanted to build something in Africa. I wanted to build an empire in Africa. So, and I saw myself as 5 years, I will be back in Africa. That's what I did. I went back in Africa, but that's another story that I'm going to tell you. But I did that, and I was investing heavily in Africa. I made some great money. I also lost money, right? And now, what I'm going to suggest for anyone who is here, who's going to be staying here for a few years, probably maybe having a family here, the best strategy for me now, I'm going to suggest you is you have to invest in self-investment, and then you think about diversification and capital property and capital protection. So you invest here, like the stock market, you can invest here in the property, right? You can invest here in, as I say, crypto, forex. Yeah, there are other types of investments. For example, I have a good friend who's investing in watches, for example. Those investments are proven and safe. You start to invest here so that you can create passive income, right? There are some passive income businesses where you can do it part-time. I'm going to cover that as well in another video, but you have those types of investment that can give you cash. And once you have that cash, once you have that extra income, we use that extra income to invest in Africa, right? In that case, you will be securing first yourself, your family, and your ability to have sustained passive income, so that that passive income can actually be the one that sustains you when you start investing in Africa.
Yes,
right?
all right,
So
Isma, I think the point has just been laid out. Isma, if we can just stop. I think that Alpha there has sort of laid out a very good foundation. If you've just joined us, and I can see quite a number of people have joined us since we were here, the program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, and we are live on 75W Radio. We are live on Umma Connect. And to remind you, we are live on Facebook, on Zoom, and on YouTube. Well, tonight we are talking about investing either home or investing in the diaspora. We've seen two differing views. A hand up already from Isa Makumbi, which I think I'll come to you. The conversation, the way it works here, everyone has a freedom to sort of just have a say. Come in at any point, just raise your hand, and then I'll pick up on you, and we'll talk about investing. We've seen two varying views. Akon talking about the urge, the need to invest in Africa, but very importantly, I think he finishes by talking about partnerships. I think we've been working so alone, and that breaks us. We suffer. We live in very, poor conditions, living in the West, trying to save as much money as possible. You send it home, and then sometimes it's even eaten by the relatives. We have the issue of relatives, we have the issue of friends, we have the issue of not having adequate time. If you're going to invest, make the time to be able to be there. If not, you're really going to burn your hands. This one, I think, sort of gives the example. He went and invested in Africa, had mixed experiences, came back, and his advice is invest here where you are at, and then whenever you make the profits, go and invest it in Africa. And sort of a second thought. So I open the mics for you now to sort of share your experiences. Let's see, where would you, how have you done it? Issa Makumbi, you have you first. Your hand was up. Well, you've started very fast. You made a big, bold decision after leaving not only here in the United Kingdom, but in the United States before that. You made a bold decision to go back home. I don't know whether you
Assalamu alaikum.
Run back. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic.
Now?
Very interesting topic, but a bit risky.
Yes.
In both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I first invested my money in America.
Yes.
Florida, bought properties there. Came great crunch. Everything came to standstill. Property was squatted. Getting the squatters out, it was just a nightmare. End up losing almost half of my money over there.
Isa, that is in the United States, you say?
United States in Florida.
So in Florida, you get squatters taking over the house because of the credit crunch that had actually come in, the financial crash. You couldn't get the squatters out of the house. Getting them out.
The litigation law was very expensive. You have to get lawyers. You spend so much money, you don't get anything. Mm-hmm. And most likely, when they come to a judgment, they're more into the American. These are our citizens. They look to you as a foreigner. Mm-hmm. You are down the path. And the money you make over there, if you send a property over there, they hold your money for a year by the state, saying that they have to clear all the tax, make sure that you cleared all the tax before they release your money. Mm-hmm. And you find getting money from that place is not easy. But if you're putting money in, they say it's very easy, but getting money out of that place is just a nightmare.
Right.
So if you are looking to that, you have to know the laws of any particular country. People have gone to Spain, they run in trouble.
Yes.
Wherever you are, if you're a citizen, you have more right than a foreigner.
We went to Portugal and ended up entering the Portuguese market just as the crunch was starting, and we thought we were buying a very cheap property at the time. Yes, we had it for some time. We ended up getting rid of it, but probably more for other reasons than the fact that that there was a risk about it. It's just that it wasn't making the money that probably we needed, and we could get more money elsewhere.
So when you look,
definitely a risk, yes.
Investing here and investing home, you've given up some illustration by the Americans. For them, they have got special privileges, tax-free. They are giving everything and inducing them to come and invest. And much of those who come there, they're conmen. They don't want to invest, but just want to rip off. But
make some quick money and then leave.
And then they're off.
Yes. But
if you are Ugandan, if you are going to invest in Uganda, you don't have those packages. You've been talking about farming. That's one of the most risky business in Uganda. If you are going into farming, for us to go the big way and before the big way, there's no need of buying 10 acres or 30 acres. We think they are saying that we're going to farming unless we got $1 million if you're going to that farming. And few of us we don't have such amount of money. If you are going to farming, just to get 2 or 3 acres. Go into mechanization, irrigation, easy to maintain. Use the sophisticated farming like the Israelis, you make money, but don't go for the big things. When it comes to property, people will live into family business that my brother is going to collect the rent if you build up any property. There are farms who are professional. I've got properties, the family properties, I've got a farm, which are collecting the rent and you get your money in time. But for us to fail to become professional, we are going to our own way. I did my business, my brother. Or if you're building up a property, engage the consultants, they charge, but they deliver. They are becoming more professional. And when it comes to how many, tourism industry, it's just one of the best. The returns are there, but very volatile.
Yes.
The one
And,
here,
and it's like thing with Ebola, and then everything.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
All the bookings are cancelled.
When there's strikes, demonstrations, all the bookings are cancelled.
Yeah.
If they want the Ebola, there's cancellations. So the African business, when it comes to investment, when it comes to abroad, the returns are minimum. But if you've got property or in this place, you can get cheap, low interest rates. You can access funds from this place cheaper. But if you happen to get a loan from Uganda, the interest comes between 20 and 25%.
It's 22%. Yes.
Rate.
And the current lending rate from the central bank has grown now to 13%. But even at 13%, having to pay back, the commercial banks now charge up to 22%.
22%.
Just very extortionist. Yes.
So if they talk about the returns are high, but very unstable and very volatile market.
Mm-hmm.
The demonstration can wipe you up. You get someone.
Issa, the thing is, you've painted two very confusing pictures that I think you warned us at the very start. Because what are you saying now? Are you saying we should invest?
What I'm saying is we should have a mixture investment.
Diversification.
Diversifications.
Yes.
If you're into that, you can manage. But if I say that I'll get all my money and put in Uganda,
all your eggs in one basket, and then the moment it crashes, you go down with it.
Yeah. But what I'm talking about, in Uganda, there's money, but it takes time. This is what I usually advise people who are here, who are going to invest in Uganda. Prop land, there's money. But people are blind. If 30 or 40 years, why should you buy land in Munyonyo? Go 40 miles, 60 miles from Kampala, you buy land over there. You put something to keep it occupied. So
like trees, like eucalyptus trees, and just keep it there.
Yeah. Yes. When they develop funds over there, you make money. That's the best way of raising capital if you're going to invest in Uganda. Buy land, pay from the town, wait till the development comes to you, and then make money. And that's what I've been talking about. We've got laws which are hopeless. Ugandan law. You get a squat on your land, evicting him, you pay him, or it might take you 10 years to sort this small issue.
That is if they have been on the land for 12 years. So if they find a way of sticking on the land for 12 years, but lately that has been made much easier now. I can testify to that. I've been to a number of evictions, and if the person has not been there for 12 years, the issue is some people go and hide, or the person sells you land and then they bring squatters and place them there. And but that they've been there for 12 years.
But the documentation is forged. You never know.
The LC is forged, the documentation.
Well, for documents, they stand in the court and then they fleece you and they collide with the judges and the rest.
It would be very interesting to hear from people probably away from Uganda, say in Kenya or.
No, I've been talking to people who are Kenyan. I've got friends from Senegal, whatever it is. If they talk about them, it's the same problem you have in Uganda, the same problem they have got everywhere.
Yes. No, I know that in Ghana, at least people have been fleeced and the laws don't come in strong enough. And Ghana looks like the most stable in terms of, like African countries. But when it comes to laws and law enforcement, that can be always a problem.
Yeah, but the advice is, if you're investing, have property or anything, which can do that one to give you cheap rates, mortgage, give cheap money, which could be easily serviced, and with that money to develop some projects at home. But when I look at the bright side, say tourism, Uganda, they can't hold any big international conference because they don't have any accommodation. Say if they're having a conference in Jinja, they have no accommodation. And tourism is a very big part, but for us, we are more interested in rentals in Kampala, where it is. If come as a group and go into industry like rentals in the Makian Falls, around that areas, you could easily get money, but leave everything to the Asians and the whites. So we have to
and they are making the best of it. The Asians are really, really going there, starting small, and then before you know it, a year,
so
2 years.
my advice is we shouldn't be like leopards. We should be like lions, working the group. Raise money.
Right. Brenda, I think I should bring you to join the conversation here. Issa, stay on there. Thank you very much. Stay on. Brenda, you've just been asking whether anyone has bought any land in the US. Well, recently when we were in Boston, I think we had someone who had bought about 2 acres of land. And I found it very interesting that you could buy in America in acres. Brenda, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you today? It's good to have you on. I've been seeing you very busy in the chat room, and thank you. Well, you had a question regarding if anyone has bought land in the US.
Yes.
Has anyone bought any land in the US that could share an experience here?
Yeah, it would be good to hear.
Would be good to hear, I think. Yeah. So are you in the US?
Yes, I am. I live in Pennsylvania, just an hour outside Philadelphia. So it's like in the suburbs, and I always see all these pieces of land. You know, I'm like more neighbors with farms and stuff. And when COVID hit, so many people were selling, and I kept thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder if I could buy like 5 acres of this land, and you know, how would I get my money back, and you know, things like that. Yeah.
Have you thought about investing away though? I mean, listening to what Issa, for example, is already presented, and I'm sure many people have a view on what he's said, and we will be hearing from them. But having heard what you've had, I mean, he was in the US, it seemed very safe until the mortgage crisis. Remember, 2007, 2008, 2009, that was crisis point. We got that whole mortgage crisis, and then people lost out on, on properties. So even in markets that look very safe, one thing could just come, one event could just come and sweep out, people's investment, and especially based on the prices of these particular assets.
Yeah, I mean, I have invested in Uganda,
right?
But like I was just agreeing to the gentleman who was just talking.
I
mean, I built a house, but this is a residential, so I don't even look at that as an investment because I don't see any money ever. I mean, we always say, oh, I'm investing back home. I just built maybe a retirement home. So yes, in how many years from now, yeah, you'll not be paying rent, I guess. But there's no money unless you turn it into Airbnb, or rent it out, or do something with it to bring you income. So at that point, before that point, it's not an investment.
Right.
But I did that, and then I do some businesses there, but it's a low scale. And but I've been thinking of doing farming, and then I also realized the costs that come with it. The profit is this much, so it's a dilemma. Yeah. So
no, I can imagine, because I mean the thing is, if you look at the investment, and I think the idea now might be the concept of having to see how we can go into partnerships, because one of the things that has really taken us down is you see people going in and trying, and you see their investment has some sense, but then the dilemma is you go in small, and because you're small, the fact that you cannot give it 100% means then you lose out on money, and that becomes a problem. So isn't it time that probably we start thinking about it's sort of a cooperative sense? People in the US get together and decide to go. Because once you go as a group, I think you go with a lot more money, your pot is much bigger, you are able to turn around stuff much quicker in comparison to just doing it individually.
Yes, that's correct, I think. Like I was just saying earlier, I've been seeing a few African Americans going to Uganda, for example. I know a few who've started farms there.
Yeah.
They bought lots of land, like Value Farm is one of the YouTube channels that I've watched.
Yes, Value Farm, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so that guy partnered up with Tina, Ugandan, yeah. And they're just buying everywhere. They're just buying land and putting sheep, putting goats, putting chicken. And but I think, yes, I don't think he could just do it by himself. So he had to partner with somebody there, which was very, very smart. And many of us now might be like, I'm American now, you know, so I don't have dual citizenship. So it will be different if I try to invest back in Uganda now. I'm not Ugandan, you know what I mean? So, but unless you settle your whole dual citizenship thing, because otherwise anybody could just sue you and you lose your property back home.
Yeah.
So I think those are also things that people need to consider. And it also goes to trust. Who are you going to trust to do partnership business with? Family.
Now, Brenda, you raised the issue of trust, and I would like us in this program tonight. Probably we might not exhaustively, solve it, but the issue of trust keeps coming up over and over. Where do we start from? Because I think we have to get a point where we say now our trust issues start from here. Our trust issues now, let's drop them and let's start at least being able to trust. Because I think trust starts with you, the person. Okay. If you worry about trusting somebody else, and it means the other person is also not trusting you. I think how do we break the barrier of trust so that we can start having a conversation?
Can I come in? Can I come in?
Yes, Issa.
Yeah, for me, we have a family business that has been running in Kampala that was left by our father so many years back. But what I did when my mom passed away, I educated my brothers that this is an investment. If work together, you become a shareholder.
Yes.
I taught them how businesses are run. As had titles. This is the chief executive. This is the director for this. This does the finance. This does the day-to-day running. And I'm surprised. It is working. And the repairs that
you pay yourself salaries, or you're still waiting for the business?
Salaries. I say we've got one property, one house. We'll be paying rent. You'll be paying salary.
You seem to nod.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I agree. So there's
I said
that's a big point. Yeah. I mean, what you did was empower them.
Empower them.
Yes. So, and that takes away part of them that was like, you are going to be richer than them. So they're earning money from it. So that's huge. Now that works. And that's what some people
that depends on whether your wife, Brenda,
what am I to do?
Issa's wife and children are happy with the arrangement that the brothers, the siblings are brought into the business. Because there's also that the family might actually not feel very safe. We've had situations where people have killed their own relatives.
Yes,
there's a lady in UK here who has failed to go back home because she built an arcade. The siblings have been collecting money. Every time she wants to go back, they just create a situation that actually scares her life off, and she's in stuck now.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been trying to do. If going to such an investment, educate. If educate and empower them, they'll run it. Because what I manage, people are more interested in selling. If I hadn't gone in, it would have been sold off. But when I educated them, they say one property, that's your salary. Everything that comes from that, you divide. Now they know that every end of the month, I pay them on time. The other property, receipts that coming from that is just for the development. And I say, if there's anything, get the right person to do the work. And I'm surprised those things are being done. We never have a meeting, monthly meeting. Each one comes to report, say, we've done this one, we've done this one. Say you have a project. We had a garage in front of our house. The man tried to entice us, say that I need to have a 10-year progress. You said, no, that is like, it's like a mortgage. The person I didn't expect to give me an answer is the one who came up with that an idea. That is a 10-year, it's just a lease. He said, if pay him off in 2 or 3 years, we would have got enough money to develop that area.
Well, Isa, in the chat room here, Joanne has come in to say you can only educate persons who are ready to learn. Some are envious and they are not willing to learn. Joanne, do you want to expand on that, please? Joanne, do you mind coming in and just expounding on that, please?
The only thing, if you are going into such a working arrangement, make sure to get them, you pay them gradually. They have an income. If they've got an income which they get every month, they will stick to that.
They have something to lose.
Yeah, and then you can do any development with them.
Joanne, do you mind coming in?
To do work?
She's at work. She's at work.
Charitable.
Oh, she's at work. Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
she said she's at work.
Okay,
yeah.
no problem at all.
Yeah,
yes, Brenda?
I don't disagree. I mean, I don't disagree with, I've seen some Kenyan friends of mine who have done the same as the gentleman was just talking about, empowering the siblings. But then I think it depends to some extent, like how your family was, maybe like the dynamics in your family as well. How much respect that family has for you, how much trust they also have for you, how much, fear they also have for you. But what I've found, like, people will still, like, you could be paying that person more than you even pay yourself, and they'll screw you over. Yeah. But I've seen Kenyans do that. And, there's a friend of mine who told me, Brenda, if I don't help this person, they'll always be my problem. Every time they're broke, every time they're sick, they'll be writing to me, they want money. So I might as well find something that I say, okay, I'm giving you this kind of work. Like in his instance, I'm giving you, we have this property, how about we turn it into an income bringing in project for all of us, where you guys are also getting some money every month. And then they're like, oh yeah, that works. At least they're not begging you for money every month, because you can say, hey, you have that other part of the house, it should be giving you money, so why are you coming to me? So it might work for somebody, but I'm not saying, I think what we're seeing with the majority of diaspora people is even their own blood is like screwing them over, and it's just unfortunate. But then I also wanted to say, maybe, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, if we partnered, I love the whole partnership thing. I feel like we could partner with people who are in the diaspora with us, people who have gone through the same hassle, like they understand this is what $1 means. This is, like I could say, hey, first, let's partner up in Uganda. Like if you're not there, I am there, kind of thing. We're not related in any way, but
I think that alludes, Brenda, I think that alludes to what Joanne is saying in the chat room again. I think those who have managed to make it, like that gentleman said, also attributes to upbringing. So it's down to upbringing, how you've been brought up. Henry, you were saying building trust is good, but hard in the distance. Can you expound on that, please, Henry?
Oh, thank you, Kassim. My name is Henry.
Welcome to the conversation as well.
Yeah, I'm also from Pennsylvania, like Brenda. I live in New York. So the trust, the way I say, because in the distance is hard, it's the same as building a business in the absence. So my experience was trying to build a business back home, and I spent about 6 months. And I realized it's hard building in the absence, both on the business side and the trust side. When you're with somebody, you are able to link up, have things to talk about. Like the gentleman was talking about educating people. But if you're gonna be there for just a part-time and leave on both hands, I think building the trust and business back home needs a certain time to focus and sit home and say, this is the period that I'm gonna build on this business. But going back on the trust that we have on general, I think even us in diaspora, we are also lacking that trust. I don't know whether it's in the black blood or in,
I was just about to ask you, Henry, because you raised the question saying, how can we build the trust within the diaspora? How?
Yes.
Probably in your own way, because I said it starts with you. Have you thought about the fact that if you created your own trust, probably you might open up doors now for trust now to become something that is served on a general menu?
Yeah, personally, I've tried. For example, I give an example. I tried to do business home and it failed. And like Brenda was saying, during last COVID, there were so many land going around. You see COVID. So I just bought a land in Pennsylvania, about 10 acres in New York area. And I started going around with Ugandans that I know they have been in business.
Henry, please, your line is not very good. Come again. You bought 10 acres in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
All right.
So,
okay.
And I've been trying to going around Ugandans who have been establishing business, saying, hey, how can we partner? Can you get me in contact with so? Looking into building like a nursing home, or maybe apartments or something. But most times you get this thing coming back to say, oh, okay, I'll give you a call. Oh, let's meet for dinner, never shows up. And somebody says, hey, no, somebody's not ready to get that close, or they need to know you more. So yes. I think we as African in general, we only like to do things individually rather than teaming up.
Well, Henry, it looks like you've got a partner now in Pennsylvania, a good place to start.
Yes,
and,
I see.
Brenda is definitely. Brenda, talk to Henry, please. Talk to Henry. You've had your questions regarding purchase of land. Now you've got someone who's already
yeah. This is
talk to Henry, please.
Yeah. So Henry, I live in Doylestown. That's in Bucks County. I don't know how far that is.
Okay, you're 1.5 hours from me, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But again, Henry, I think, you know, there was a post on Facebook from this lady in Boston, Vanessa, and she was just complaining how every Ugandan says, "In the Boston Yantama."
Yeah.
You know, so she was saying everybody, when Uganda, you know, you guys all say Boston Yantama, but Boston is the best, you know. So she had her rant. And why I bring this in is, so I think there's so many Ugandans here in, let's say, USA, that actually maybe like 7 or 8 friends of mine, they're guys that I know have gone into business together here in the US. And they did not go to school together, but, you know, like things of communities where, you know, somebody has a birthday, it's the same group of Ugandans there. So they built their relationships like that, having some things in common, seeing each other more. You're not going to build Rome in one day, yes. So that Rome would be friendship and trust. But the more you hang out with people, the more you, like in these groups, like the diaspora groups, WhatsApp groups, I can see you can start to build a relationship with a person. You take it off WhatsApp, you know, you connect with them maybe for a cup of tea, get to know them more. So the ways we can actually build trust within ourselves. But it takes time, it takes effort. And we need to be patient with relationships. I'm not a relationship counselor, but I know these things happen. It takes time because, again, people have been screwed over lots of times, especially immigrants with your fellow Ugandans or fellow Kenyans. So we kind of put a shelter or a barrier in front of us. But sometimes we need to open and see what happens, how we can relate with these people. So these friends of mine have bought land. Have bought houses. Yeah. Like they'll go in Philadelphia, buy some houses. Like, you know, one person maybe doesn't have 50,000. These houses are on like foreclosure, or like in 2020 or 2019, some people were laid off, so they were selling off the houses. And some of them are not in good condition, but these guys would come together. Each puts in like 20,000. So that's between like 5 of them, you know, that's how much, whatever it is. And then they buy that unit, you know, they repair it, do this and this, and then put it back on the market. Or, you know, flip, is that what they call flipping houses?
Yes.
Or they will rent them out. So, and then that renting them out keeps bringing them money. And then I don't know their agreements of up to how long they share the profits that come out. But so far they've bought like 10 houses in the 2 years.
Wow.
And I can tell you it's working for them. I'm like tempted to join them, but I will be the only girl. I don't know what the world would say, but hey, it's business and it's working for them. And they're not related. They're not the same tribe mates, that they've just been friends over years and they've just decided to
Managed
go
to build their trust. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Henry, Henry,
Okay.
now in terms of how easy was it for you to buy the land? Was probably
How easy?
what has been tickling Brenda there.
Yeah.
You said how easy it was?
Yeah. Was it on foreclosure or was it just available land?
It wasn't on foreclosure. So it was, we were buying a house and the owner had a commercial land besides it. And so we didn't know that he was interested in selling the land, but as we were touring the house, we were like, okay, is that part of your is that part of the land on the other side? He said, yeah. It's but it's commercial. It's totally different entity. But if you're willing, you can give me an offer. So, given me with the experience I've had from Uganda, every time I go to Uganda, I'm from Busunju area, and I got home and they tell me 1 acre of the land is like 10,000. I'm like, no. So I calculated and I'm like, okay, I'll give you this offer. And I thought he was going to turn it down. And he's like, okay, so long as you pay it differently from the housing. So it's 2 different deeds. And so that's how we ended up getting the land. But the lands are there. You just have to understand whether that land is for commercial, whether it's for residential, whatever they allow it to be used for. But lands in the area, like she said, in Pennsylvania, they are really, really, really cheap. What goes in is to how you want to change it, whether you want to change it to a residential or a commercial, that's something deeper. But the lands are there and they are literally cheaper. You can literally get a land for each acre for around $20,000.
Well, the thing is now, before Brenda decides to go and join some Kenyans, there's a Ugandan here who is already doing something and having a project that is an empty template. You never know. This program has brought you together now. Just make sure you exchange contacts, and you never know. Might give just Brenda some time to be able to find out a little bit more of what is happening there, and you never know.
I would like to know more.
You can just send a message in the chat room. If it's a private message, you can just send directly.
Yeah, I'll send you my phone number. I'm also into those renovation rehabs. So I have rehabs in Baltimore, which right now I just sealed off. But I'll send you my number, Brenda.
Sounds
fantastic.
Good.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Brenda, and thanks, Henry, for that. Beautiful conversation. We are listening already from people now, deciding to go and, do it from up in the diaspora, doing the investment in the diaspora. Why not? The program is already brought 2 potential partners together. The program is Come, Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. If you just joined us, we are talking about whether to invest home or invest in the diaspora. Well, it might be that home is where the heart is. 14 minutes past 9 o'clock. And we shall spread out the conversation now, bring in more people now to hear their particular experiences about where you've been, what your experience has been with the investments, and why not here. I'll come to iPhone. iPhone, assalamu alaikum. Hello, iPhone. Can you unmute yourself, please? I'll go to Chantal, as iPhone is still making up their mind. They might be at work. Chantal, welcome. Hello, Chantal. You can just click the unmute button there. I'm asking you to unmute. You can just click the unmute button and talk to us. I'll go to Anisha, who's one of the first ones actually to come on. Anisha, do you mind unmuting yourself, please? Okay, people are so quiet today. What's not happening? Hajat Sarah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello, hi Anisha. Thank you very much. I was getting worried. I was just wondering whether it is my part. I've got Anisha and Hajati Sarah on now. Anisha first, how are you today? Hi Anisha. Oh, you unmuted again. Yeah, I'll go with Hajati Sarah while Anisha unmutes then. Hajati Sarah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
Chantal is
barakatuh.
saying she's at work. How are you, Hajati? You're very, very quiet lately. Are you well?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
I thought
Just
the
busy
winter
with
has
work.
already gotten to your place before it gets up north where we are at.
Yeah,
So we are talking investing home or investing back here. Well, what's your experience been? We are sharing experience.
but I think investing in abroad, that's abroad. Anyone who would like to invest abroad, they need a lot of money more than you would need to invest in Uganda. Uganda is cheaper to invest than abroad, and most people who have done it abroad, they have to incur lots of loans, you see, and something that most of us are really quite hesitant to go into. Yes, some people, if they go for something really big too, they may need to get some loans in Uganda, but many people have done it without loans. And I think most of the points have been said. The trust is one of the issue that has set us all behind. Because if you're not in the country every day, you don't know who to trust. At some point, you have to come back to the UK or wherever you are and work and get more money. So you need to have trusted people to run your business or whatever you're doing. You need someone to be there that you can trust or a group of people that you can trust. But it's a shame that right from if you're building property, you'll be asked for materials, people are stealing the materials, they're stealing the cement, and many people have ended up with corrupt buildings. So trust is a big problem, and I don't know why it's really happening, but I think also we can attribute it to people being very poor, that they have lost all the shame because every time they may quote what they want you to pay them, but also planning to steal the materials. So you're paying them and they're also stealing the materials. Of recent, I even started to see people stealing sand. I never knew that someone could steal sand.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
The sand
yeah,
is a sad one, actually. They get a truck and they'll put some metal in between. So you look at a lorry and it looks full until it pours. Then they won't allow you. Of course, they'll go in a position where by the time you come to pour the sand, you are in a position where and the next thing is that they lift up, the trailer goes down, but you are only buying half the sand and it looks full on top. But in the middle, they've already put metallic thing.
And even when it's gotten to the site, the villagers will start taking wheelbarrows of that sand.
At night. What sort of relationship are you building with the neighbors?
So the thing is, it's really tricky and very upsetting, you know. There was a time when I had finished my rentals, put in all the windows and iron doors. In the morning, everything was gone. So it's really difficult in doing things in Uganda and disheartening. I don't know what to do. But I think the idea of partnership will work. If people get to trust others, the partnership idea would work because they will have sufficient funds and also supervision will be there, because if you're in a group, at least there will be someone back there to supervise. It's a very big idea. If we can embrace it and have people, be trustworthy with each other, that would be good. But don't forget, like someone said, like it's like in African blood, there is that dishonesty. Yeah, there is that
dishonesty that is just sort of seems like it is inherent. That's quite a painful experience when you think about it. But I think it's about time we think about group work. In Uganda, I think, unfortunately, despite the trust issues that might be across Africa, many other countries have really made strides. Kenya, for example, is really good at that. They've managed to get themselves together and they've managed to build up and come up with stuff, that has been done jointly. The group thing is really working in Kenya, even with small circles, like border circles. Border owners in Kenya are owning estates of houses. They've managed to get their own houses, but on top of that, they've also gone ahead to start getting houses that are on sale in the market. So the idea of people coming together and beginning to think together, it has not been in the Ugandan psyche, but I think time has come for people to start thinking across that line, especially when it comes to how much money you can put in a pot at one time, because you manage to do things together so quickly. We managed, for example, and this is for the benefit of this program, we bought a London village in Uganda. We went and PG, we bought 42 acres of land. And with 42 acres of land, we've got 120 families in the diaspora, mainly in the UK, a few in the US. And we are building 120 houses that are going to constitute this 42 acres. We managed to get very good land that is just 6 hills, all facing one another. Titles finished, everything all done. Now we are getting to the element of allocation of plots, 90 by 100 per person, planned roads, planned amenities, public amenities, so football pitches, mosque, hospital, or dispensary for that matter. All of this just planned into that area. And it means you're just going to transform that area out of the blue. It's the first sort of kind of project done by diasporans, but at this kind of number, and then coming in to do something. And I think we are opening up those barriers slowly, but it starts with trust. And it took a lot of time before we could get the numbers to get the 120 people to come in and be part of that. Sarah, we are together in another project as well in Kiriandongo, where we've bought land, and we are sort of already embarking on a big project there as a group. I think that is opening up, conversations around trust. And once you do it and you manage to get it, many of our people are very good at bandwagonry. They will just come, chat up, then you see people now beginning to flow. Like with the London village land, when we just began, it was very difficult. People were not, we had about 15 people, and we just said we are just going to go and get our small place. But before we know it, once we got the land and people came in and saw the land, excitement came in and the numbers started growing so fast. You can imagine from 15 to 120 people. This was just unbelievable. And that allowed us now to go and buy land, very, very good land, just less than 2 miles from the main road, Masaka Road there. And we are establishing a life that we can live, a life that we have lived abroad. And I think that's the kind of mindset that has to start changing now for people to start seeing things happening differently. Sarah, so what would you rather, given those experiences that you're talking about in Uganda, seems a bit negative. Does it mean then you'd rather invest in the diaspora than invest back home?
Of course, Uganda is the best option for me because I don't have money to invest in UK. Right. Yes, you undergo all those difficulties, but you still put your head up and you carry on. A few women had started groups here and in back home, but women do fall. Women groups do fall over very silly things. Sometimes,
like what? Like you didn't wear makeup.
Sometimes gossip. Yeah, someone having a better hijab than the other one, or someone feeling on the top of the others. So that has also caused trouble because we lose focus very easily and get off the right path. That is also another problem. Not focusing on why you made a group, and then you start getting into more than what you had started. Getting into families, breaking each other's families and marriages.
Or stealing someone's husband.
And causing trouble. So
okay. Is that a Ugandan thing as well? Or
it has been migrated up to here. I've heard of a few people have come here and had such issues. So that's another sad thing, really. But we can still work. Oh, there is an echo. I don't know where it's coming from.
No, it is actually from your end, but we can hear you.
But I only have one device, though.
All right.
So I think I'll leave you to engage other people, but that's my
problem at all. I see Hajat Naima and Isa Makumbi. I'll come back to you. I see your hand is up. I'll go to Hajat Naima first, who is talking about taxes. Is that taxes in Uganda or taxes in the diaspora?
Yeah, I think people have been negative about our country, but they don't look at the positive, they only capitalize on the bad side. They've been talking about people not being faithful. Honest. I've been here for almost a year. I came here for 1 month. Eventually, I ran into trouble with my health. I've been running my business from here. Nothing has changed. I've got workers whom are indoctrinated. To what you don't do, we don't train. Empower your staff. The people I've trained, they look at my business as their personal business. They know that if I collapse, they'll have no jobs, and the children won't get good education. And if pay them good salaries, they work. I've been building some property. I'm trying building a restaurant. It started when I was here. When I still laid the foundation, then I left out. It's almost completed. I've got a contractor who provides me commodities. He never cheats me because there are few customers who are willing to pay at this time because of the recession at home. This is the first time they've valued the customers. If they are capable that you are willing to pay, they give you credit. And as long as you pay them, you won't have any problem. I've got people who provide sand, bricks, all those contracts that I made, big companies, because they don't have customers. They value me as a good customer because I pay them on time. When I'm paid, I pay them. So I get whatever I want. We've moved away from that. We actually have to do is educating and become professional. If you are buying something from a shop, why don't you dig into, have contact to educate the person that you don't have customers, but I can get you good, reliable customers. As long as they get good, reliable customers, they are more dying to get people from abroad to become their customers. But when you go home, at times you also behave like them. They don't want to pay them. That's why we have problem. But people, if you do things professionally, you get a good service. We've been talking about those projects. What I've been asking about those people who are here. When they come to collect money for the mosque, they collect money as a group. When it's an investment, they can't come together. So why? If you can do other things together, why can't you do business together? Yeah. That's the thing I've been telling people, trying to educate people at home, even here. Don't be like a lion. Don't be, just be like lions, not like the, how they call it, the hyena, not the hyena, what the one which is a loner.
It's normally the hyena, actually. It's the one that.
No, not the hyena, it's the other one. What they call it? I forgot the other side. I forgot how they call it, like cheetah.
Yes.
That's why you find a loner, cheetah can produce 5 chicks, but only 1 survives. A lion produces 10, 9 survive because they work as a group. That's what I've been looking at. For us, we have to educate. There are laws everywhere. If you are going to partnership, first have to set up all the things and they work. We look at Somalians, they came later than us, but they've gone so far. Look at the Asians. They come here, one buys a property, then from the other one, they've gone. By the time you know, the world is taken over by the Asians. For us, we can build mosques, we can build churches collectively, but we can't invest. We can't come together to set up a package to work together.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Makumbi. Hajat Naima, I've just been trying to get you to unmute, please. You are talking about taxes, and I was trying to explore what the taxes were about. Was that taxes here in the diaspora or taxes from back home? Where exactly was the issue on taxes?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
No, I meant taxes in the diaspora. I think people are quite, it's quite difficult to sort of get away with taxes. I think we all know most of you earn a lot of money, then after taxes you're like, where did all that money go? So
that is a UK problem, Hajat Naima. You'll know that because in the US the story is different. And actually, why don't we hear because now it would be good to compare that with what is in the US. In the UK, you work hard, the tax money is there, any overpayment, and they're already on your back. But in the US, the story is slightly different. Hajat Asfa, is that not correct? Talk to Hajat Naima about the tax situation. It looks like in the US it's a bit light.
I think she has a point, Naika. She's also speaking from my experience of where she is.
I beg your pardon? I can't hear you well.
I said she has a point because she's speaking for experience from where she is.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yes, her point is very valid.
And most, if you see, for people here, when they want to avoid tax, the only way they say is
It's charity.
cash only. It's
Okay.
always cash only.
No, they've removed the cash only
They,
now. They are trying to make sure you
aha.
you're
So
not
that's
allowed
the
to
only
take
way you can profit from your business, to
That's
be
an
honest.
That's an Indian thing. They're the ones who just go for cash only. They don't want to. They don't want any card payments. They don't want any track. But the government is making it actually almost compulsory now, making it very difficult to use cash, at least from this end.
Yeah. So no, I was talking of taxes in the
in the
at
diaspora.
home. Yes, you can get away with so many things.
Mhm.
I think the culture of collective investment in Ugandans is still a problem. And I don't think it's trust, to be honest. For me, I don't think it's trust. I think it is, I don't know what word to use, envy. Envy. People don't want the other one being better than them or something like that. I'm much better in this. Why? How come this one is doing? And then you find that people are stuck on that sort of argument around who can lead, why should this one do it, and I'm better and things like that, and I don't want them. They already have money. That person has money. Why are you bringing them into the group? You see what I mean? So I don't think it's we have sort of mastered the idea around financial independence. This is why we are stuck in working 60 years. You're still working, and people haven't got the idea that actually you can invest, and then you just sleep. You make money while sleeping. I don't think people have got that idea yet. So that's something that people will need to work on, sort of like the mentality around collective investment, how fast collective investment can bring you that financial independence. For example, when you look at housing, if you want to go into real estates and obviously make a lot of money in that, if you're going to buy houses, for example, in the Northeast, 7 people can buy, or actually 70 people can buy a house just like that, without going into mortgages and stuff like that. But it's about people really having that love, or that vision, the vision of actually being financially independent. Me, that's my take on it. Trust, it's just people tebagaliza. I don't know whether
feel like you're going to become better. Why should they think actually for others? Just to be as well as we are.
You see, the Asians learn to use the bank money. For us, we haven't learned the trick of using the bank money to make money.
The problem with that as well is, Isa, is because some of us are not into interest money. The Asians won't mind about the riba money. Some of us who are religiously oriented, you're going to fear that money, and that's the issue. If there was halal money as it is beginning to become, available, like in Uganda now, there is about 37 billion shillings that is available, halal money, like from Islamic finance. They have used that money, and not many people know about it.
I think people, they hide under halal money. We had a project that was running in the area. They found that the service charge you pay, the overhead you pay, other than saying the haram money, they put up the interest rate. They say, but they put on overhead charges. You say, sir, you pay for this, you pay for this. By the time you find out it's more than the interest rate you pay. It is the only way of beating up the word, but the actual fact, the haram money is very expensive compared to the normal bank money. Because the
halal money. You mean halal money, not haram money.
No, haram money.
Yes.
There was a project, they started it in Ealing, where I was one who I know was fully involved in. People registered, halfway they ran the check and then they switched over to the normal banking system because they are paying around 10%. Yet you could get a mortgage, was around.
Well, I was just referring to Uganda because with Uganda, at least I've gone in depth, I've gone deep down, followed it in the microfinance support center, and I've seen the surprising thing is very, very few Muslims have had access to the money as it is at the moment. There were 14 the last time I was checking. I think it's 22 like groups or people that have access to that money. But it is purely halal.
So when I was in Kampala, I was so much into that Harman. I used to go to radios advocating for it. The government uses it to borrow money.
Yes.
But they don't allow individuals to borrow money from that.
No, the individuals do. You just need to know how to get it. And if you want, I'll direct you on how to get the money. But it's again, as the Ugandan thing, you go the halal way and then you end up, you have a lot of back doors to go through.
Because I challenged one of the minister on that issue. He said when they are financing the road from from Soroti to Moroto, it was the Harman they used to borrow. When I encourage people to go into that, individuals to get money, they are blocked by the ministers. They say, leave this, go into the normal bankings. Yes. I went on radios teaching people about Harman, the advantage and disadvantage, but politically is frustrated.
Well, 36 minutes past 9 o'clock. Someone has been waiting all the way and listening into the conversation nearly from the very start, all the way in Qatar, where the World Cup is warming up. Mr. Tartib, if you can unmute yourself, please. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, Mr. Tartib. Assalamu alaikum. I'm trying to get him on there. Mr. Tartib, are you able to speak or are you at work and unable to speak? Oh, he's been on from the start of the conversation. It would have been good to hear from him. Chantal is at work. Anisha is at work. I'll try Jakweli. I haven't heard from Jakweli. 36 minutes or 37 now past 9 o'clock. That means 23 minutes to the end of the program. The conversation is still continuing. The program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, and we are live on 75W Radio, live on Ummah Connected, on YouTube, on Zoom, and on Facebook. Jakweli, welcome to the conversation. You've been quietly there in the Kamori listening in.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. It's me, Jad. It's just the name is changed.
I didn't see Jaden, so I fell for the Jakweli. I hope you're well.
Yes, I'm well, thank you.
This is a conversation that must be very close to your heart because you almost have legs in both places.
I think the problem that we've got as Africans has already been hyped, and even in our last discussions, it was down to trust and honesty. And from my experience, I know Issa has been saying if you pay your workers well and you pay them on time, they'll stick with you. But unfortunately, the workers that I had on my project, they stuck with me for some time. They got the skills, the attitude which I instilled in them. And then somebody who was bent onto competition came and stole the same workers from me after I'd groomed them. Yeah. So that is one of the biggest problems.
Oh, yes. No, that happens a lot.
That happens quite a lot.
Yes.
And then the other one which I wanted to touch on was competition. And you find people jumping into investments or projects that they have no clue about. Rentals, for example.
If someone has done it and then you feel like you should also do it.
Yes, we look at the end product. We don't look at the journey because ABC has made a name out of it. We think you can make money out of it. A case in point or a very common one is the importation of vehicles from Dubai and Abu Dhabi. You find many people going into those businesses because they've seen their neighbors or young boys who have gone there and they're bringing trucks and spares and so on. And they think it's an easy business, but they don't know the dynamics and the logistics that go into those businesses. And before you know it, you've lost your investment. Now, if you go into partnership with such people, they'll have all the theories of making money through such investments. And because you are not on the ground, you'll say, well, let's trust that person and inject money into that business, and you end up losing. So we don't look at the journey, don't look at the process. We are looking at the result, which again is a danger to ourselves. And we don't have that, what I would call ujamaa, the oneness, which is common among the Tanzanians, for example, and now the Kenyans have also come up with it. It's been going on with the Indians here, where you find Indians buying properties overnight, and you think their money is being laundered, but it's all genuine money. We don't have that kind of cooperation, because we are competing against each other. We compete on very little things, like who has got the best accent, for example, who is wearing the best shoes,
Yes.
who is driving the biggest car, and little things like that can
Hajat Naima says there's the issue of confidence as well, that we are not confident of ourselves to sort of embark on these things, that we haven't had the courage to go in. An Indian will come in with just one little briefcase and appear here so confident, unbothered by whatever. The accent is there, but the person is struggling with even what to say, but they will come and make money. And they came into Uganda, they went into the villages. You go to Lira there and you get in Lira and you find them handling the cotton, and all they come is just come and speak even their broken Swahili, but business is being done. So the confidence, the confidence to go in and actually do it, probably is another element, Mr.
I think the confidence comes down to lack of knowledge, because you go into a business which you are not very sure about, and you won't have any confidence on it. You don't have a business plan. You don't know what is meant by cash flow. Before you know it, you are entering into your capital. So it's that knowledge, that lack of knowledge, that makes us lack the confidence as well.
So when you talk about business plans and stuff, I see some of the most successful people in business are the uneducated. They're informal in the way they do their stuff. You see Haji Mikidadi there going into coffee and being so successful, and the person who has come with all the business plan on paper fails to interpret it when it comes to the actual implementation. So when you talk about know-how, or the experience, the knowledge, the business plans, how comes these uneducated people quite often are very successful in this groundwork business, especially?
I think that is where you are wrong, Kassim, because a business plan does not necessarily have to be on paper.
Right.
Because somebody can have a business plan in his head, and if he follows that business plan strictly, because say, for example, I've seen people building property out of selling mahamri or mandazi or kabalagal on the street. So their plan is, if you're going to invest 10,000, make sure you're saving 500 on the side, and you stick to that plan of saving the 500 and then plowing the other 9,500 back into the business. So that is their plan, and they'll stick to that plan religiously. But if you go with your written plan and you think you're going to diverge your capital into something which you have seen on the side, and say, while this plan is moving, let me invest on the side and hope to make the money even bigger. And when I say investing on the side, it means it includes things like marrying a second wife or a third wife to come and help you in the business. Then you're obviously going to collapse the business. So the plan has got to be not just on paper, but in the head, and you stick to that plan religiously.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Jaden. Lots of comments coming in the chat room. Hajat Sarah says togetherness. Brenda says yes about the Indians. Accents don't matter. They still go ahead and do the business. SM says envy, lack of solidarity and unity is an issue. Chantal says confidence despite being at work. Brenda says agree, lack of knowledge on something, but that's why we need to attract those who are different from us. One can be good at execution, another one can be good at groundbreaking, another at cost effectiveness. Well, the more we put together, definitely, I think that brings in interpretation. Naima Kayira says we should adopt the trust the process attitude. Trust the process attitude. Yes. Well, we always, a lot of some of these things we say on paper, and then in reality, I think we need to start practicing from somewhere. Joanne, who is at work, I think, says lack of knowledge and no willingness to learn and understand, which Ugandans don't have. Meanwhile, if Asians don't know, they will invest time and sometimes money to study, not with us. Even free programs, we are not willing to invest time. That's so true. Rehma, are you there? Rehma RM. Rehma RM, assalamu alaikum. Hi, Rehma. Hope you're not at work as well. Rehma, are you there? I'll go to Jaja Munira. Jaja Munira, assalamu alaikum. Hello, Jaja Munira. Tukunonya Jaja. As Jaja Munira comes, let me just go to SM. Sophia Murangwa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you? Thank you, everyone, for the
Listening to
program.
the conversation tonight, where is the balance beginning to tilt, or you are where you have been and you haven't changed? Investing home or investing in the diaspora, given what you've listened so far?
It depends, like all the points which have been given in the chat room and people coming up, whatever they've said is right. Even what your wife has said is very right. People are envy, especially they're envy, even the ones home. When I went recently home, I can give you an example. My brother was saying, I've had enough investing, because he's like having different areas. He has like farmland, and he's put people to, even some are relatives. And one of the relatives disappointed him to the extent that when they were doing an investment, he went and sold the things without telling him. And he nicked the things. And in the end, now he doesn't want to talk to him. But they planned the thing together. And he was saying, oh, you want to have more money than me, this and that. I can't do this. So it's like we don't wish for our other people to be better than us, or I don't understand. Tebakitegeera kati obakola nti oli eno ng'eri olina investment nga bagamba ali mu UK nga batandika n'okusaba ssente ezitaliyo, twetaaga kino twetaaga kiri. So it's at times it's very difficult. Bw'oba oli eno ebyeri tobimanyi, batuleyo ndowooza ne bapulaninga bwe banaku-executing nga bakulemese buli kintu olemererwe ne biri babitwale. Kati obeera awo n'ogamba oba investing oba ssente zange be nazo n'obeera confused. Kati ekyo kye kiremesezza abantu okuddeeka ne ba investing. Kuba kati oteeberezaamu n'obawa ssente ne bakulimba n'otuuka nayo ng'ebimu tebabikoze. Naye olaba n'abali ku ground bakifindinga so hard. Kati fe abali eno kati oluusi olemwa ate tetulina solidarity ng'abayindi bwe bali. Kuba kati omuyindi ne woba tomuyinaako Luganda bakwatagana, ffe tetukwatagana. Oli agamba ajja kunsinga, ajja kukola ki, which is very hard. So I don't know even where to invest myself.
One very interesting thing I've found, leave alone the Indians, the Somalis, they have come to Uganda. You go to Chisenyi now, the Chisenyi of 5 years and the Chisenyi of now, you can be in shock. They have bought the place. They have modified the place. The place is coming up with units that you would never have imagined being in the Chisenyi that we are used to, the Chisenyi that was very disorganized and looking very untidy. All of a sudden, there is a new sense of life that is beginning to come there. Of course, the road is still bad, but they are trying to fix that as well. Once the road gets there, the kind of flats that have come in Chisenyi, you would never, ever in a million years have imagined that it have come to that. But the Somali, as you've heard the way they do their business, someone is in Dubai, someone is in Kampala, someone in Dubai wants to send money to someone in Kampala, they just go place it with someone there. The next thing is someone goes and picks up the money, and all they need is just a code and people have got the money. Ajat Naima, it looks like you have something burning you'd like to share with Sophia.
No, not exactly what Sophia has raised a very good point around families. We know that that sort of then gave me that idea, that at this point myself, I'm looking at collective investment as the way forward, because we've seen that we work so hard to do projects at home, to do investments, and in the end, when you die, your children are even lucky to even have any shares of whatever you've worked for all your life. So now I'm looking at collective investment as a more safe way to.
So with collective investment, do you mean not just involving family, but it is collective involving other people?
So no one has claim.
Right.
If yes, and if obviously there are legal sort of procedures in place, it caters for the next of kin. So there somehow you're kind of confident that even if I was to pass on this huge, for example, if you started a very, very huge project in Uganda, you know that, okay, my next of kin will take over. So no one is coming from a family to say, hey, Chechintucha Muganda Fe, it's my husband, it's my uncle's property. There's no fighting. So I'm sort of now starting to like the idea of collective investment in the way that whatever you've invested in there, at least the people you love will have some sort of benefit from it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll bring in Ismail Kassim all the way in the United States of America. Ismail, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. First time on the conversation. I'm sure you can see what happens here. An interactive conversation where everyone has a chance to have their say. And you're saying, you are raising the issue of collective investing in the diaspora. No problem with that.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy and glad to be part of the conversation. I'm sorry I'm on the road, I'm driving, but very attentively paying attention to you and the rest of us. Investing abroad to me is okay, but the more you go on doing it, you realize that ultimately you have to leave money here. You have to leave money here. No matter you have a family here, you are like selling yourself in the end. To me, I want to explain a lot, hoping people here understand much, much better. But it's good to invest as you're starting up life here, 5, 10, 15 years. When you hit that niche, please go back home. Go back home.
So you are for investing in the diaspora. I want to make sure I understand you well. You are for investing in the diaspora. When the time comes, then sell up whatever you have, be able to go back home and buy it.
Sell it, go back home, because you're going to be taxed whatever you do. Whatever you do, the taxes are going to take whatever you have. When you die eventually, God forbid, you're going to leave everything here. Not even your family will benefit from it.
Yes.
Work for starting 5, 10 years, please. Let's get back home, guys. That is my opinion.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And you're on the road, your first time on the program. Henry, I'll be coming to you. I wanted to get the man in Qatar. Probably he hasn't disappeared. He had just managed to come and he had said, oh, yes, he's there now. He's been up very late. It should be very, very late in Doha. Taratibu, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you today? Thank you very much for joining the conversation. I think it's past midnight where you are at now.
Yeah, it's true.
It's nearly coming to 1 o'clock. Yes, listening to the conversation now, and we've concentrated so much in Europe and then America. You are in Qatar. Well, World Cup, I think. First, give us a feel of how the World Cup is building up, and then we'll go to our business today. How is the mood there? Is everything ready?
Yeah, Qatar, they're very ready for World Cup, and we're just waiting.
Okay, fantastic. Now, you've listened to the conversation in terms of investing home or investing away. Your own take.
Actually, I will go with the investing back home. which is very good and cheap. But the problem is it's with the investors ourselves, those who are abroad or the diaspora people. People have talked about trust. Actually, the trust is not there, simply because people think that their things will be stolen and nobody back home can keep their stuffs. Secondly, why things get lost, maybe when you're investing or building. I heard somebody saying that now in Uganda, people are stealing even sand.
Materials from the site, yes.
Yeah, it's true. It's just because we underpay those people. We don't value them. And these people are keeping properties that are worth money. Then you find that someone is given peanuts. Actually, this will push someone to steal. So if you invest, at least the person who's keeping your property, make sure you make that person satisfied.
Well, but someone had come in to say, even if you do that, and many people have done that, people will still do. I think it is, there was a fear that probably it's just within the people's DNA that even with the best intentions, even with the best faith, people still come back and still steal.
No, Mr. Kayira, teri muntu agenda kukubba nkumadde ssente nnungi. Obuzibu is trusting, nogamba muno ogenda muwa ssente nnyingi agenda kunfunamu at the end of the day ate amala agende. So that's where the problem is. Abantu babawe ssente omuntu musanyuse akuume ekintu kyo nga akuume ekikye. Then somebody is looking after, let me say, a project worth 100 million. Naye nosanga nga this person is paid $20,000, $15,000. Oluusi n'omusala ne gulwawo, omuntu n'abanja for some months nga tasasuliddwa. Definitely oba ogenda musindika okubba ebintu bye ku site.
Right.
That's my, yeah, that's
okay.
it.
I just thought I just saying now you must be kidding. She must have paid and it didn't pay. Henry, welcome to the conversation. Taratibu, thank you very much for staying up late. Yes, Henry, you're back on. Thank you very much, Taratibu. And I'll come to Zoom user. Zoom user was there, then disappeared. But I'll come to Zoom user. We are very, very close to the end of time. Henry, come in, please, and then we'll go to Zoom
yes, Kaya, thank you, Mr. Kaya. I was just going to pinpoint on the gentleman who talked about investing back home after a certain period of time and more of how
you just
advantage. Okay. Sorry,
yeah,
I'd lost you. Hello?
Yeah, you had muted yourself. Yes, please, you said.
Yeah, so there's an advantage of on this side and back home. There's a system here, like you don't have to be here to invest here. So there is a system in place whereby you can hire people. Let's say, for example, you have properties, you have project managers, and so things are always in state. Like once you have the business running, you can literally be away, which is really hard back home. So for those who are planning to go back home, there's nothing wrong with investing here and let that dollar just come to your account when you're back home. But also to people who have families, like kids who are born here, they still have another generation to decide whether they're gonna retire back home or they're gonna retire here. Yeah. So you can, that movement for us going home is good, but the system here works if you've already established it. So that's the difference between here and back home, whereby you can literally run a business virtually or in your absence. So there's nothing wrong with investing here, even when you're leaving, if you have a family. So you still get your money on your account.
Right. Fantastic, Henry. Thank you very much. Zoom user, come in, please. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much for joining us. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Thank you for organizing this. It's really very interesting topic.
Pleasure.
And I'm driving if I'm not so clear, but
you are absolutely clear, surprisingly.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. What I'm saying is like, I'm gonna make some few comments. It's good to invest to home, but our home is not secure. Waliwo okweyira amazzi naye ne weebuzaabuza nti nno omaze okunaaba naye nga weeyiridde amazzi oba onaabye, which is okay. But come to reality, if you are in UK and if you are in the US and you are investing home, that's what we used to think that wakagenda mu nsi za America. Each and every one of us has a property back home. Bye twazimba nga tumanyi nti tujja kubeerayo. Naye reality is kiringa ekya Rasul abasiraamu kwe tulabira. Machazi baali bamuzaala Makka. Allah n'agifuula one of the biggest city. Oba yesinga obunene okubeera n'entukuvu. Naye Rasul teyabeerayo ne bwe yagikonkalinga yaddayo e Madiina gye yafunira emirembe. Ekyo kati njagala kuba wamwe namwe n'aba planning okuinvesting in Uganda. It's okay. Mine is totally different. It mu investing eyo, then you get some money, you come invest in wherever you are, maybe in America. Nze ndaba mu America wakyali wanene nnyo, even if the whole population of Uganda is put here. We can't, tetulina kye tuyinza giscratchingako. Naye nga mba mukyagenda mu nsi gy'omanyi nti nammwe, each one of us knows somebody who has lost a property to somebody by using force. And how are we going to sustain that? I think if we have invested in the countries where the system is straight, we can always invest here. When time comes and home is okay, we can always go back home. Naye tuyinza okuinvesting eka just for small time, but we forget that thing of like when you retire, you go home. You can't retire home when you are 40, you're 30, 25, you couldn't stay there. Until or planning okuddayo when you are 70. Kugamba uche nagamya mutulinga abebuzabuza. Nanga I made some calculation one time where they have no ambulances. Nenga to minister ayinza okuyitawo n'obugombe nenga ambulance eri mu traffic. That system is not yet correct. Nenga we can put some money there. Then we shouldn't be thinking till you're gonna retire back home. So let's try to be very clear and come to reality. How old are you right now? If you're 20, it's okay. 40. But if you're 40 and you're investing home, it's okay to invest there when we get some proper capital. We invest here. N'abazungu bajja mu America, they invested and they became happy. What do we think that we can't be happy on a foreign land? Kibuuzo kyokka naye. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Kazemu omwami oyo. Nze mbadde wano emyaka egisukka mwana in abroad. Naye have gone home. Bwe oli yagamba no bwe ogamba nti ne bw'onoolwala. If you are in Kampala, bw'oba olina ssente ky'oyagala okolaki? Ogifuna. Wano kiringa omuntu bw'alwala wano. Bobanga in private clinic, you can get medical treatment anytime. They only when it takes time to join the queue. So the thing is, people katingama kachinyonyi bantu bwabanga tingo omuntu nga badde wano. Is a quite property. Bonofa, ojja kusasula inheritance tax, which is almost 45% of your property. That goes to tax. Never in Uganda, there's no such inheritance tax. Tax tebogera tax zano oli ageze America najjaga America tell you tax zimanyi mungi ojja kusasula federal tax ne ya state mode twice tax. The same
depends on the state, yes.
On the state. In Kampala there is less tax. They are there, but people don't pay it.
There are less tax and there are ways around them.
Way around it. And the thing is
is that Jaden?
I can give an example. Go to Kansanga. The Ethiopians have moved in, the Eritrean are taking over that place. How are they successful?
Yeah.
That is partnership working. If you go into partnership working, we can make money and you can live a comfortable life. But if you go
I think I use the word system. We didn't even introduce ourselves in there are some people who can work well for this system.
Zoom user agwanisebo nera bitokubuuza nade
akyayiseewo dda kati ssebo naye njagala kwanukula muganda wange
tweyanjudde ffenna
Nze
Waji
nja kweyanjula nga tunaatera okumala naye kati
n'akadde tumaze okukayitamu tubadde basaawa 4 lwakuba nti oleesemu akatale ke kaneŋŋamba katukawulirize.
Yeah, because tulinawo reality the system has some people it work for era kyenva kugamba whatever we do we have to keep a backup. Wakyogeddeko when we are starting.
Yes.
The system has people that it works for and it works well for foreigners, but I don't think it works really well for indigenous people. And the moment they realize that you are Ugandan, even if you have an American passport, they try to subdue you. I've used it here in Uganda. Some people pass there, they speak their language, they go there. The system can work for them. Naye tugende mu reality. Abantu abafiiridde ku HSK bameka. Kati bwe tugenda mu reality like waliwo ebirungi, yes, money can do anything that if it can fly you back to UK or to US or to India. But do we really need that? Okay, yeah, it's good to invest in Uganda and I really support it. I love it. But we have to find ways of whatever money we accumulate, we put it somewhere where the system can work. The system in Uganda.
Sebo amanya teweyanjudde sebo nga sinnakuta kugenda.
Nampita Yusuf Sebo.
Yusuf mbaye nakuwinde dda sebo badoloza Yusuf, barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you very much for a very interesting conversation. It looks like we will end up having a part 2 at some point later in future as we start assessing particular aspects. We can probably start going into the details of issues of trust. How do we address trust? We bring in people that probably might help us to build the issue of trust. Lots of messages that I'll just read as we wrap up. Brenda says systems are everywhere. Though, did you know in some states it's hard to buy property in a certain neighborhood as a Black person? I've noticed that in the US on programs. Zena Vega, we didn't get a chance to hear from you. That they were no, we invest here 100%. Taxes we pay here, they fix roads, schools, and hospitals. That's from Hafsa. SM Sophia says ways around them is the line for me. Yes, there are ways around them, but I think that's the thing that works there. At least when the taxes we pay, we see where the money goes. Yeah, I think that's the same point that was being raised there. Yes, we are dreaming. You need sufficient money. Interestingly, some of these things, and that's where now, as a concluding remark, as Ugandans, and I plead with you, we have had lots of negative publicity that we sometimes contribute to as Ugandans ourselves. It is time, as was raised by Hajat Naima at some point, that we think about partnerships. Let's get away from the idea of wanting to do our things alone. Let's think partnerships. Let's see what partnerships can do. One, we can pool money together so quickly. We can work together. If we lose, at least we lose together. You do not fall or burn your fingers alone. It helps by all means. I think for me, the concluding word is partnership. And we began with that at the start of the conversation, partnerships. If we are thinking about going home, it's about partnerships. 2, the government in Uganda, as long as you go alone, it becomes difficult. And that's why as an investor, you go there, you would say, I came with a passport and blah, blah. It becomes difficult when you are one voice. If you are 10 people, 20 people, I promise you, try it. If it fails, get to me and I'll make noise about it. Uganda Investment Authority, there are particular programs that that things, because one thing I've realized with Ugandans, and I apologize before I even say this, Ugandans will yomogezi. Everybody thinks they know, even in the high level of ignorance. Everybody wants to know. Everybody pretends to know even when they don't know. If you do not know, find out information. There is a lot of things, there are a lot of things going on back there that if you didn't know, you will lose out on. Find the people who know, educate yourself. Part of the problem that many foreign investors or Ugandan foreign investors have found is you go back, you land, and then you want to continuing to keep your sort of face of Ndwama, Ndimurandana, or Liminonaro Yogera is that. they will burn your fingers. You like it or not, your fingers will get burnt. The best way is go down, be humble like a pie. You will be surprised as to how much inroad you can make. Be closer to the people, just try to understand. Put yourself at their level. You get what they have, and then you produce what you want. It is doable in Uganda. It is unbelievable how much you can do just once you get on the ground. Nice talking. You get another one. I cannot tell you how much inroads I've been able to make in places simply because of how humble you carry yourself. People will come to you, Haji, but then now I can't, and we please have it. The moment you go as a boss from UK, you're driving your red number plates, you're from the US, you're driving your red number plates, that is already a recipe for disaster. Be down to earth, and you will find our regions very interesting and ready to be invested. It is unbelievable what potential is there, what you can do even with very little money. But when you have partnerships, it means as a partnership, you can put money together so quickly. Clearing a land, as a group, you are able to put money, no clearing the land, no storage it. We can try to 6 months, within 1.5 months or 2 months, you've managed to get it off the ground. The moment you get it off the ground, it means if you have enough money, you can contract a company. If you can contract a company, it means you're getting a better service than Kamiofu again to work that won't work. So this is really absolutely something to think about. It is unbelievable what can be done. Some people have done it, but they've only done it because they knew the right channels. The moment you don't know the channels, find those who know. Otherwise, you will burn your fingers. And partnerships, partnerships, partnerships. That's a good word, I think, to part on tonight, inshallah. There is a lot that can be done through these partnerships, and it is probably time we start working on our trust issues. Let's get the medication for trust and start putting it there. Thank you very much for having a very beautiful conversation tonight. We could go on for another hour from the sound of it, but it is beautiful, beautiful that we've had this conversation, and I hope it's not the last time we're having it. We'll definitely come back to it someday. Maybe to evaluate where we have burnt our fingers and what good we have got. Thank you very much for a beautiful conversation. Hope to see you Tuesday next week, same time, inshallah, as we embark on another topic. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for those who have joined us for the very first time. The US team seems to be growing, the US group seems to be growing, and so is the UK group, and that is very, very important. Hope to see you next time, inshallah. Have a very, very good rest of the week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.